UVing the cannon or the gun is going to be very similar to what we did before with some minor variations and some new things. So let's go ahead and get started with this one piece over here. I'll go ahead and solo it out. This one piece right here, which we made with array mesh and live boolean. And if I turn polyframe on here, you'll notice that it is very similar to the CAD models that we had before. And you can see some really bad topological issues, like this vertex right here has all of these different edges emanating from it, which could cause us some problems. So I think this would be a prime thing to want to have zero meshed, and also this would be impossible to edit or make changes to. So if we zero mesh it, we'll get what we want. So the first thing I want to do here is make sure that the geometry on both sides are the same. So I'm going to turn local symmetry on and go ahead and mirror and weld in X direction. So now that basically mirrors this object over. And I don't know if this is absolutely necessary, but I like doing this because it makes me feel more secure about the fact that whatever's on the left and the right are exactly the same. Okay, so then the next step is going to go ahead be to go ahead and polygroup these. So I'm going to go here and group them by normals. I'm going to choose an angle of 15 here and go ahead and do that polygrouping. So now that creates all these polygroups. And next thing I want to do is make sure that I have no stray groups, because there could be a small triangle somewhere that could be a different group. So I don't want any stray groups, so that ensures that. And also let's, for good measure, merge similar groups. I don't, again, really need to do that, but why not? So now we have our object done. I just want to make sure that symmetry is on, and I have it on local symmetry. And then I'll just go ahead and go into geometry, zero mesher. I'm going to turn smooth groups down to 0, because this is a pretty kind of hard edge as you get type of model with a lot of 90-degree angles, so I don't need any smoothing. I'm going to keep the groups because it's hard edge, and I'm going to turn detect edges on. I'm going to turn detect edges on because it's hard surface, and keep groups because I want polygroups for each different section of the zero mesh. So with that done, it's just a one button press and I get this result, which is pretty much exactly what I want. So with that done, I'm good to go. I just need to make some minor adjustments here. So the first thing I want to do is I want to raise these bars. So I want to do a little bit of modeling in addition to what was there before. And to do that, the first thing I want to do here is I'm going to go ahead and turn the point action here to slide. And slide this over so it's more rectangular, and I'll tell you why I'm doing that in a minute. And I don't want to be Q meshing right now, so I'm going to turn do nothing for edge and for polygon actions. I just want to make sure that what I'm getting here are just straight lines, and there's ways of getting this to be exactly straight lines, but eyeballing it works here as well. So I'm just doing this real quick for the top and bottom of these areas, and I'm going to do the same for here. Okay, and I don't know if the back's going to show, so let me bring everything back to see what is what. So I definitely know that I need to do these front three and the bottom ones too. The bottom ones look like they are pretty much in line. We'll just need minor adjustments, like so, like so, and like so. And again, as I mentioned earlier, there are ways of doing these so I know for sure that they're completely straight, but I think just a little bit of eyeballing works really well here. I don't think we need to resort to using the clip curve to do it. I think just by doing a little bit of kind of adjustments like this gets us what we want. Okay, so with that done, what I'm going to do next is I'm going to polygroup these areas that I want to extrude or Q-mesh. So the way I'm going to do that is going into the Q-mesh option here, and I'm going to create a temporary polygroup. So if you hold Alt down, you create a temporary polygroup. You can see here it's coloring them white. So I'm going to do that for all of these right here. And it's going to be very similar to this color. You can see a little bit of variation there. Okay, and then I can do these all in one shot. I guess I forgot to adjust this one because I want to do this as well. And let's see, is there anything else on here that I want to do? I think those are it. Maybe this back one here too, why not? So, and then again press Alt, and then when I QMesh, when I lift this up, it's going to do it for all of them in one shot. I guess I missed a couple of polygons here, so I'll add those, and then again it's going to do this exact same thing all the way around. So just with one pull, I can get all these to do what I need it to do. And I don't know if I want to go up that high, maybe about there. That should do it. Okay, so now you can see how I took some geometry that was really horrible and made it work. And then for UVing, again, just really simple. Make sure symmetry is on, polygroups is on, one button, and the UVs are done. Let's go ahead and take a look at what this created with UV map and morph UV. Maybe I should solo this out. And again, I remember that this bump is what is giving it more of that geometric shape. So if I just do that, actually it's not too bad. And I could have, again, if I want this to be a little bit better, I can re-polygroup it, but I think we're good for what we have right now. And for good measure, let's just go ahead and put that texture map on there, texture 19. To see what that looks like, and it looks like most of it is okay, but there's some funky stuff happening over here. So that's why I usually have this on, and I'm glad it happened here. So we can go ahead and go back to morph UV, and I'm keeping my eye on this little section over here, seeing what's going on. And I noticed that somehow that did not UV correctly. So a quick fix to this would be to just do a mirror and weld. And here we go. So now I'm good. And then what I'm going to do is see what that morph UV's as. And it looks like some things are collapsing into each other. So at this point, I can just go ahead and, just for kicks, do another unwrap. And once it's done, I can do the morph UV and see what kind of result I get there. And here we have it. So we are good to go with this one piece. Let's go ahead and move on to the next. And the next one in this case is the nozzle that we made. So I'm going to go ahead and solo that out, zoom into it. And again, this one does not really have any polygrouping, so it does have it for these back parts. But let's go ahead and polygroup it also, just like we did before. So polygroups. And I'm just going to do group by normals, and let's start with 45. Doesn't really do much for us. Let's take that down to 15 and group by normals again, still nothing. Let's go to 12. Okay, we're getting some results back here, but not up front, so I'm going to go ahead and maybe switch to 8. Let's see what that does, and that's kind of more or less what we need, so I'm getting the types of results I want in these rings inside, but maybe I might need to take this down to even further, down to 5. Group by normals, and that's a bit too much. So because I don't want this kind of chatter over here, so let's go ahead and go to 6. See what we get there, and 6 is a little bit better, but still some chatter. It looks like 7 might be what we need, and 7 seems to be exactly what the doctor ordered. Let's zoom in further here just to see the inside parts, and that looks good. So now that we have all those polygroups, we're going to do the same thing. We're just going to go ahead and go into, it looks like there's some weird multiple polygroups on the inside, so I'm going to go ahead and do the same thing, merge stray groups and merge similar groups, see if that helps out a lot. And it looks like on the inside here we have some anomalies, so I'm going to use that trick with the Z-Modeler brush, where I'm going to go ahead and polygroup, and let's go ahead and make sure we're not doing anything to edges or points. So I'm going to do nothing for points, and I am also going to do nothing for, let me zoom in on an edge here, nothing for an edge either. And for polygons, what I want to do here is go ahead and polygroup them, and we're going to polygroup island. Okay, so here I'm just going to, I guess I could just click on that one, and that did what we needed to do, and I need to do that for each and every one of these. So I want to make sure that the gizmo is at the center of this thing so that we are looking at it in a central way, and I also want to make sure I have symmetry on, so I'm only doing this on one side and getting the same result on the other. So there's that. Let's do this one, this one, this one, that one. That wasn't mirrored before. Now let's just make sure the top's okay. All right, it looks like we pretty much almost have this buttoned up. Okay, so now we've got all these polygroups, and it looks like I've got a bunch of extra polygroups here that I might not need. So what I'm going to do here is, again, try and just get these all to be part of the same polygroup, like so. And then I had some of those on the side as well. Like, I don't need this one strip to be its own polygroup. So go ahead and do that, do this. Okay, so now I'm just basically combining those polygroups, and then this one, I'm going to pick a different color for it, maybe even a different one than that. Here we go. And make sure that these outside ones are the same. Okay, so I think I've got enough polygroups here. I'm good to go. So now I can just go ahead and unwrap using polygroups, using symmetry, and then let's see what kind of result that gives us. It's moving pretty fast here, and I should have my result, and I do. So let's go ahead and go to UV map here and morph UV. Let's see what that looks like. Again, I need to bring the bump down to 0 and morph UV it again. And here we go. That's actually not too shabby. I'm just going to zoom in on it. That looks okay. And again, for good measure, let's go ahead and take a look at it with texture 19 and see what that looks like. And it looks like, to perspective on here, it looks okay. And I still don't understand why. Let's see here. I've got local symmetry. Oh, X, Y, and Z. That's good. That's good. Yeah, and I think the gizmo should be in the center. I think that's pretty good. So this part is done as well. Let's move on to the next part, which is, let's get it in the list. It's this part right here, which I believe is a barrel. That's good. And I think this already has polygroups, but let's just go ahead and take a look. So I'm going to solo that out. And it's just basically a cylinder, and it does have polygroups. So if I just unwrap this, it's going to be pretty fast, but apparently this has multiple subdivision levels. So what we need to do is just make sure we're on the lowest one. So here I'll go all the way down to 1 and unwrap, and that should just be a very quick process. I'm not even going to look at unwrapping this UV. I'm just going to go ahead and put in the texture, and I think it's going to just be fine. Okay, good. Let's move on to the next piece, which is this one. Now this one is a CAD piece, and I'm not going to zero mesh it, because if I do, it might destroy some of the nice bevel angles that I have over here. So I'm going to keep this as is, but I'm also going to polygroup it so I can get those different sections. So let's go ahead and turn it on polyframe and group by normals at 45 degrees. That's okay. I kind of need it to be a little bit more aggressive than that, so I'm going to try 15, see what that gives me. And I think 15 should be good, so let's go ahead and unwrap it this way, see what happens. One thing I forgot to do with this, and it did work, however, one thing I forgot to do with it is every CAD piece here, before I UV it, it's really a good idea to just go to geometry and check the mesh integrity, do a check mesh and a fix mesh, just in case there are no stray points, so that ZBrush can go ahead and zero mesh this without any issues. So now that I've got this, let's go ahead and put that texture map on, so texture 19, and see what that looks like. And I think for the most part we are good to go here. I don't know what the morph UV would look like. Let's go ahead and see what that is like. Whoa, okay. The bump is on again. Turn bump down to 0 and morph UV it again. And it looks like it's got some thin pieces or thin strips. And we can only see this from one side. So there it is. Let's go ahead and, yeah. So it's got these two really thin pieces here, but again, that's attributable to the CAD nature of this model. But again, loading this into Substance Painter, these won't really be a big of an issue because we do have UVs and that's all we need. So let's move on to the next piece, which are these little screws. And I think these are pretty prime for zero meshing. They should be pretty easy to do. So I'll just go ahead and first polygroup them by normal and see what we get there. And it did polygroup them this way. And then just launch ZBrush at them. Let's see, I'll make sure symmetry is on as well. And I think these have symmetry in Z also, and in Y. So I'm going to turn all three symmetries on and go to Geometry, ZBrush, and make sure Detect Edges is on, Keep Groups is on, and also we don't want to smooth the groups, so just let's ZBrush it, see what that looks like. And these I'm going to turn double on because we can't really see the inside of them if we don't have that. And well, I forgot to turn local symmetry on, so it made a whole bunch of different ones of these, which we don't really need. So let me see which ones are the ones we need to keep. So there's 3 created, or a bunch created, that we don't need. So I'll just go ahead and select this way the ones that we do need. And let me see, am I on that subtool? I am. Okay. And also let's just make sure we are in select rectangle mode and select these ones, and it should hide the other ones. I think I'm going to turn these symmetries off for now. Just activate symmetry off. So I just select the ones on the gun itself and then delete hidden for the ones we don't need. And then the ones we have are good enough here. Let me just center the gizmo on them and just do a quick unwrap, and they should be pretty good to go. It's a pretty standard type of piece. So here, going in and turning on a texture 19 again on those pieces so we can see what they look like. I'm going to solo them out so I can see, and it kind of looks like, yeah, no, they show up. Okay, so now I've got UVs for those pieces. I could probably have gotten away with not UVing them, but I guess it's a good idea to do it with all the different pieces so you have an idea. Here we have another CAD piece, and for this one I'm not going to forget to do the check mesh and fix mesh just in case. So mesh integrity, check mesh, it's fine. And so at this point, go to polygroups, change the angle to 15. I'm going to go to actually 10 for this one and group by normal. Let's see what we get. I think I need to be a little bit more aggressive. I think we did 7 last time. Let's try 7 again. Group by normals. I think this is more along the lines of what we want. So just unwrap it with symmetry and polygroups on. And notice here it takes a little bit more time than usual, and there it is. Let's see what it looks like with the texture map on it. And it looks like there is a little bit of stretching, so we may be able to do better than this. So I'll turn the texture off. I'm going to delete the UVs that we created. We don't need those. And then go into the polygrouping again and maybe be more aggressive with the polygrouping. Let's go for 5 degrees. Group by normals, and that gives us a little bit more polygroups. And let's unwrap it again to see what we get. Okay, so since we have a lot of polygroups here, this is going to take a little bit of time. I'm going to pause the video, come back when it's done. All right, so I ended up regrouping it again, and this time with a value of 4, and then let's see what this gives us as far as the UV map is concerned. So I'm going to turn bump down to 0, morph UV, and see what that looks like here. And it looks a little bit better. Let's go ahead and see what it looks like with texture map number 19. Let's zoom this one in. and it looks okay. I mean, it's not ideal, but again, this part is, I can probably just assign a single material to this part and not need it to have any weathering or whatever. Here's another CAD part, so let's go ahead and check it. Okay, so this one, notice here that it has two edges that are shared by more than two polygons. It's a little bit hard to read, but that's what it's saying, and then so I'm going to go ahead and fix that. So that's fixed. And I'm going to go ahead and mirror and weld this in X with local symmetry on. And go ahead and do the polygrouping. And let's see what it looks like with just 45 degrees, and that's okay. And I think this will do it. So let's go ahead and unwrap. And I'm not even going to check the Morph UV at this point. I'm just going to go ahead and see what texture 19 looks like. It looks okay for the most part, but it looks pretty horrible over here. So that did not work for us. Most of it except this one area is good, and this is a good example of what we don't want, which is the stretched out type of area. Okay, so in order to fix that, what I'm going to do here is go ahead and maybe possibly do yet another polygrouping, but this time choose a more aggressive angle. So let's go ahead and choose 15, group by normals. And that looks a little bit better. So let's see what that does. So unwrap it. And let's see what texture 19 looks like on it. And this has gotten a little bit better. I can see that the shapes are more proportional. Let's go ahead and take a look at it all the way around. And it looks like we are okay with this one as well. So let's move on to the next piece. Let's see, these CAD pieces, I'm glad we're having the adventures we're having with them, because they are definitely ones that cause the most issues. This one's going to be a piece of cake. I'm just going to leave it as is. It's already got polygroups, so it's going to be done. Let's look at what texture 19 looks like on it. And notice here it's good to check every single one this way just to make sure that everything is good with it. And then let's move on to the next piece, which again is this CAD piece right here. And I'm going to go ahead and make sure my gizmo is centered around it. And also this one needs to be mirrored, so that's what I'm going to do first. Make sure local symmetry is on, mirror and weld, so now it is symmetric. Then what we're going to do is make sure that we have the polygroups we need. So go down to polygroups, groups by normals, and I'm going to go ahead and preempt this with 15 starting out, like so. And let's just groups by normals. That's good. Unwrap. I didn't do the check mesh and fix mesh. Hopefully it was fine. I can do it after the fact too. Sometimes it does work, but it looks like it's fine. Good. So last but not least, let's see what texture map 19 looks like on it. And that looks pretty okay. Again, this is a small piece, so I could have left it alone, but again, part of this is just the tutorial aspect of it. Here's this piece, again a CAD piece. So first things first, let's go ahead and local symmetry is on. Let's mirror and weld it in X. Ooh, that's not what we wanted. I think we want to mirror and weld it in Z, maybe. Let's see if that is what we want. Yep, so that gets us what we want right there. And then let's pop the gizmo in the center. Okay, and this does already have some polygroups from the extender function, but not enough. So I'm going to go back to polygroups here, and I'm going to try and see what 45 does. Not much. Let's see what 15 does. Group by normals, and 15 is a little bit better. Let's go down to 10. And 10 is much better. So let's go ahead and unwrap it. Actually, let's make sure that it's good geometry first. So I don't know if I did this already, but check mesh. It looks like it's good, and unwrap. Okay, and that's done. And it's just really amazing how fast this goes. I'm UVing this whole gun in almost less than about 10-15 minutes. In a lot of other programs, UVing takes a long time. It's a tedious process. So here we go with this one. I'm going to go ahead and mirror and weld it in X just to get that symmetry. And then let's go ahead and get the polygroups. So I'm going to preempt this one too at maybe 10 and do the groups by normals, merge stray groups, merge similar groups, see what we get. This looks good already, and so let's unwrap it. And looks like it's got about 67 different polygroups here. That's too many, but that's fine. And let's go ahead and see what the texture map looks like. And again, I'm not really caring about how these are packed or where the seams are or anything like that, because I'm going to load them into Substance Painter. And for Substance Painter, all I need is some UVs on there. I don't really need decent UVs or super thought out UVs. I think what we've got here should be just fine. Okay, so now we're moving on to this piece right here, which is also another CAD piece. I'm going to go ahead and mirror and weld it first. And then let's do a quick check on the mesh. Make sure that it has no errors. So check mesh, we're good. And then last but not least, polygroup it. Choose an angle of 10. That's good. Unwrap. Okay, and again, this moves along pretty fast. I should have done a merge stray groups. Maybe, yeah, see, so an error occurred during the process, so I'm going to go ahead and merge the stray groups. And I think I did do a check mesh, but I'll also do a fix mesh just for kicks. And let's do this unwrap one more time. All right, again, the error occurred. So in this case, what I need to do probably is go to polygroups here and choose a smaller angle. Let's choose 5, groups by normals, and then let's see if that does it. All right, so that worked. Let's go to texture map here, texture 19, and that looks pretty good. Okay, so we're done with this one as well. Let's keep moving down the list. I think we're almost to the end here. We might have 1 or 2 more pieces, 3 pieces left. Okay, so this one was the one that we actually modeled. So here, it's zero meshed already. I'm going to go ahead and polygroup it. I don't need to do check mesh or anything like that since it's not a CAD model. So here I'm just going to group my normals, and 45 is too much. Let's go to 10 here, group by normals, and I still am not getting anything, so let's go to 5, group by normals, and there we go. This is good. Let's go ahead and merge all the stray groups and merge similar groups. I think I've got too many polygroups here, so I'm going to go ahead and do this one more time, but with a higher number. So 5 was too much. Let's go to 7 because I don't want just these little pieces here, and that's good enough. And let's see what that looks like. So let's unwrap it. Oh, okay, yep, this one's at the higher subdivision level, so let's take it down a couple of subdivision levels, do the unwrap. And let's go ahead and texture 19. Again, this is good enough. I'll place the gizmo at the center. And again, this is a lot of this part, this gun, these parts are inside the gun, so I don't really care that much about it. And then I've got these 2 pieces, which actually are the same exact piece, but they're in different locations. But that's fine. What I need to do is just, I'll UV both of them. It's going to be using the same technique. So here, first thing I'm going to do is mirror and weld in X. Okay, so I've got the same thing on both sides. And luckily these are symmetrical pieces, so I can do that. And the next thing I'm going to do here is let's go ahead and check the geometry. And this one has issues as well. 18 edges that are shared by more than 2 polygons. So let's fix that. And that got fixed, so we're good there. And then what I would need to do at this point is polygroup them. And I'm going to choose an angle of 15. groups by normals, and I think that's decent, but I think I can do a little bit better than this. So I'm going to go down to 10, groups by normals again, merge stray groups, merge similar groups, and I think this is exactly what we need. So I'm just going to go ahead and unwrap. And even though this has a lot of little stray pieces and whatnot, you know, I mean, for UVing, it's not really ideal. It gave us an error, so I think we have maybe, I need to go up in the number of group by normals here. Let's see what this gives us. So, you know, if it was traditional UVing, you don't want to have 894 islands. That's not really manageable. However, since we're using a program like Substance Painter, that's not going to be an issue. All right, so it's giving us an error again. So for this one, I'm going to go up to 20 and see what that gives us. So group by normals there and unwrap. And looks like this might be less polygons, so we might get lucky this time around. And I'm kind of happy that these anomalies are happening while I'm doing this, because a lot of times they will happen with you as well. And it's good to know that it's not always a straight line, that there are some issues that pop up. So that worked. Let's go ahead and see what the texture looks like on it, and it looks pretty decent for that size and location of where that is. So I just need to remember a few things, because I'm going to do another one of these which is exactly the same, right? So I just need to remember for this one what we did for the polygroups. So we did group by normals and we chose a max angle of 20. Okay, so I'll just do the exact same thing to this piece. So this piece probably has that same issue that the first one did. So I'm going to go to geometry here, check mesh, and sure enough it does. Fix mesh, and that fixes it. And then mirror and welded in X, so that's done as well. And then the polygrouping, groups by normals, we'll choose an angle of 20 for it. Group by normal and unwrap. And it should work exactly the same way the initial one did. And as soon as this is done, we'll do texture map on it. So here we go. This one gave us an error again. So I'm going to do the check mesh again, and maybe somehow the other side got mirrored, or there was a different issue. So I'll go ahead and polygroup this one at even a bit of a higher number than what we had before. So I'll go to 25, group by normal, and let's merge stray groups and merge similar groups and let it rip. Okay, so this one has 413 different groups, and we can see the progress up here. Moving pretty fast, and oh, we got another error. Okay, so I think I'm going to mirror and weld it one more time, and maybe choose a different polygroup number, maybe go up again. This time I'll go to 25, or let's go to 30. Group by normal, merge, and all that good stuff. And unwrap. Okay, so we got less polygroups this time. Seems like it's progressing well, and hopefully this will be the one that gets fixed. And an error occurred as well. Now I'm going to have to make a kind of an interesting decision here. When I go to geometry, we had that exact same piece and it UV'd fine, but this one is not. So I'm just going to duplicate this one piece so that I have a copy of it. And again, these two are probably the exact same size. So what I'm going to do is this new duplicate, I'm going to move it over and place it where this one was, like so, and just put it right on top of it. And like this, right? And the one that was causing us issues, instead of me going in and having to troubleshoot it, I can just delete it at this point because I have the shape that I wanted. And now I basically have the gun UV'd, right? So here we have it, the entire mech with all the parts UV'd. And I don't really know if I need UVs for every little part in here, but I just thought it was just fast enough to do it, so I did most of the parts, some on video and some off video, but basically the same process. I think if you watch the video so far, you'll get pretty much all the different techniques that I used to get this result. So here we have the Mech UV, so we need to move on to the next stage.